right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online. And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do.
So unfair. They were coming after you after a turning point.
Charlie Kirk has been shot dead.
The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
Charlie Kirk has died.
Legendary. Charlie Kirk is dead, is dead, is dead, is dead, is dead, is dead.
Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says. Because
Charlie's voice is not silent.
I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb?
We will not stop telling the truth. We will never stop telling the truth.
But no, I am a bad person if I do this. Because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies.
We're going to pick up that bloodstained microphone where Charlie left it.
This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? Right, the whole country is surveilled.
Charlie Kirk is dead, is dead, is dead, is dead.
Fuck you. And we will never let Charlie Kirk's voice die.
Shalom, привет, salut tout le monde, and welcome. Alright, so we are going to, we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. Okay? And it's just because it's like everyone is just milking this, in my opinion. I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, yes, the man is dead. But in my opinion, for the last, like Turning Point USA to me is I can't really legally call it a treasonous organization. And in my opinion, it's something worse than treason, because technically in the United States, the Constitution, treason is defined. You can only be guilty of treason if the U.S. is in an open state of war with someone and you are helping that enemy in a open state of war. But Israel is at war with us. Israel likes to call themselves our greatest ally. We have no treaty with these people. We have no alliance. Who are these people? Well, there are America's greatest ally. America's greatest ally. Our greatest ally with no legal treaty. No military agreement. Nothing. All we do is give these Jews free money. They're worse than homeless beggars because they have everything. They're people who have everything and still continue to beg. Do you know what I mean? It's like giving to homeless people, and then you find out that girl that you just gave money to takes off all her clothes, her homeless clothes, and she walks 10 blocks and then changes and then takes a subway and then gets into her Lamborghini that you paid for. That's like what they are to me. And so we have no alliance with these people. So in order to commit treason, you have to be in an open state of war with them. These people are in an open state of war with us. USS Liberty, 9/11, the list goes on. Just the financial institution alone. Do you know, when I think about 9/11, and keep in mind, Charlie Kirk was backing these people, supported by these people. He was a millionaire because of these people. His whole life he owes to these people. His children he owes to these people. His houses, I think he owned like 6 properties. He owes to the enemies of America, to the enemies of Christianity, while calling himself a Christian, while calling himself an American. And you're going to tell me right now that he just woke up in the last like year or two. He did not have any clues before, with Nick Fuentes shouting in his face, Charlie Kirk denying every single debate Nick Fuentes offered him. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I don't, again, with Nick Fuentes, I like what the guy says. Don't agree with his company. Don't agree with a lot of the people he's been affiliated with, the guys in his Groyper movement or anything like that. I agree with like 80-90% of what the guy says. He's really funny, really smart guy. I'm just bringing him up to show you that Nick Fuentes, who was openly against the Jews and Israel, Charlie Kirk wouldn't go near the guy. So Charlie Kirk chose his battles very, very carefully. And then what I think happened with Charlie Kirk is the Overton window is shifting now. Now you're coming to a point where if you are not calling out the Jew, what do people think of you right away? You're a shill. You're fake. So now what's happening is their operatives, their agents, have to, in a way, start talking about them or else lose all credibility. Okay? So for me, you know, it's really hard when people are like, well, you know, what about his children and his, look, they're millionaires. They've got apparently big, strong family units. I mean, when the president and vice president are going to the guy's funeral, I mean, I think they've got resources and I think they're going to be okay. Do you know, what's worse than children losing their father is, in my opinion, when a father loses his children, when we're talking about dead children, okay? And so, you know, what about the dead children in Gaza? You know, remember, Gaza's 50% children under the age of 18. So when you're seeing those casualties in Gaza, the tens of thousands of people dying, 50% of those are children, okay, under the age of 18. And these are the guys Charlie Kirk has been funded by, was raised by, in bed with, and it's true. We're going to go over it. Look, there's no denying that he started turning on them. There's no denying, and that's actually what we're going to talk about. But the mess that we're in because of Christians like Charlie Kirk, even me, the guys that I have to fight on the internet, all my enemies who are saying Christianity is a Jewish psyop. You know, Christianity was invented to enslave the goy. It's because of mainstream Christianity. It's because of Christians like Charlie Kirk that we now have an army of pissed off atheists, pissed off pagans. Paganism has risen up again, guys. Why? Because Christianity is supposed to be on the forefront of fighting the Jews. Okay? I'm talking about religious Jews. I'm talking about the ideology of Judaism. Okay, I'm talking about Pharisaic Judaism, the Ben Shapiros, the Benjamin Satanyahus of the world. Okay? So, so we've got, that's the question we're going to ask, is why did Charlie Kirk switch sides at the end? Okay? And you got to think, he's biting the hand that feeds him. And so, yeah, we're just going to, I guess, just kind of get into it. But my question is, what about all the children? What about, it's great everyone's like, okay, you know, his kids don't have a dad now. Look, a lot of the world can drink from that cup. But I couldn't imagine being a father losing my children, my babies, you know, that is like, I don't want to think about that, you know, and I wouldn't care if I died. I'd worry, you know, about my children. And I think about all the children in Gaza, in Iraq, and in Syria, and Lebanon, and Libya, and all this bullshit, because of the people who made Charlie Kirk a multimillionaire. Charlie Kirk lived one of the greatest lives probably in history, with the you know, prosperity and money and traveling and everything, you know. And then he's given, like, in my opinion, a dream death. Like, if I could choose how I want to go down, that's how I would go down. Do you know what I mean? I would love to be killed for speaking the truth, for my beliefs, for God, and for my death. Like, guys, this is probably the most famous death. Like, Charlie Kirk is, and look, I'm gonna shit on the guy, like I'm gonna go after him, but I'm also gonna look at the redeeming qualities too. It's not to say that the guy didn't show some bravery at the end. It's not to say that he's just a bad guy. I don't know the reasons what made Charlie Kirk switch. I don't know why. But what I do know is we can't just be ignorant. It's by all standards, Charlie Kirk is a traitor. Okay? Well, technically not, because we have no war with Israel. We have no declaration. Even though they've obviously declared war on us, we don't have a declaration of war, so he can't really be called a traitor, because he can't be charged with treason. It's something worse, in my opinion. You know, assisting the enemy without a formal declaration of war to bring us down. Like, guys, look at our national debt. Where does that come from? It comes from fighting all of Israel's wars. Okay? We don't even know who holds these debts over us. If you try to figure out who holds the U.S. debts, who are the bondholders, it's just going to give you a list per country. And then when you try to go deeper than that, it's like, well, you don't know. You know, is it Vanguard? Is it BlackRock? Who owns all our debt? And that's my problem. My problem is we are in this situation. Christianity is in pieces because of the doctrine of Charlie Kirk, pushing, the Jews are God's chosen people. They own the land. The Bible says so. This is prophecy coming true. None of that is true. It's not in the Bible. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. And then even, it's like, so I don't know what to call it, because by all rights, he committed treason. Okay. In the sense, like, it's worse than treason, because we don't even have these guys are clearly our enemy. We don't have a declaration of war against them. Okay. And he's been helping them and been made rich through them. And let this be a lesson to Christians of what happens when you partner with the Ben Shapiros, the Pharisees, the people who killed Christ. So anyways, my anger is directed to, I guess, how the people he supported are just so much worse. And it's just the children. It's really even here where I live in the Balkans, and I was in a cafe bar, and some guy heard me speak, and he's like, "You're an American, right? And you piece of shit, you bombed my country." And then they brought up a 3-year-old Serbian girl who died in the bombing of Belgrade. And here I am, 20 years later, I don't know, 30 years later, and I'm being blamed by these guys because some U.S. pilot bombed a country we had no business bombing. Okay? And I'm sick of these people. Now I'm dealing with this. I'm getting thrown out of a bar, a cafe, for something that happened 30 years ago because some little child was blown to bits because of NATO U.S. bombs that had no business bombing this country. And that little girl couldn't have a family. That little girl couldn't have children, go to school, become a multimillionaire like Charlie Kirk, right? Shilling for Israel. And then now when the heat's on, when everything he's built is in jeopardy, because the people are waking up. And if you do not speak against Israel now, we know you're a shill. Do you understand? So I don't know what his intentions were. I don't know if he's legit, like he really, because at the end he's still praising Israel. He's still like, I'm for Israel. I'm just asking some questions here. I'm not sure what he's doing. But what I do know is if he doesn't speak against the Jew, like I said, he's a frontline soldier getting orders from headquarters. And any soldier who's been in combat, or even if let's look at maybe a construction job, site. Like if you're on the front lines building a road or building a bridge and some guy's telling you, oh, well, we need this done and we need that done. And some guy in an office, he's not there on the job site. You're like, that's not possible. We can't do that. Oh, no, you're going to make it happen. You're going to do this. No, it's not how this works. You have no idea what we're dealing with, the weather, the materials, whatever. If it's a soldier, it's like, we're on the front lines getting shot at. No, you need to push forward, push forward. We can't push forward. You have to. Do you think these idiots in the headquarters have any idea what's going on the front lines? Charlie Kirk's on the front lines. He's getting hammered. And he's taking orders from idiots who aren't on the front line. And do you think Charlie Kirk isn't getting bombarded with Jew questions? Israel questions? You think he doesn't know that if he does not say something, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, you think that Jordan Peterson, I used to watch that guy cry when people came after him over Jew questions. Because the Overton window is shifting. The people are starting to wake up. Israel's not what it was 20, 30 years ago, okay? So Charlie Kirk is probably like, if I want to salvage everything I've built, okay, and protect the Jews, I actually have to start speaking against them in some way. And we're going to see that. But I'm going to tell you guys something, like, I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm just kind of burnt out. Everyone's kind of milking this guy's death. And I don't know. I feel like I've been fighting this guy in the shadows and everything he's been building. And now it all depends on why he turned on them, which is something I don't know. I don't know if it's just because he thought it was the best thing to do because of the pressure he was under, right? I don't know if... Because you got to think, Charlie Kirk would have been our greatest ally if he actually did turn. There is no... I don't think there's a more dangerous man in the world for the Jews and Israel if Charlie Kirk legit turned. And Charlie Kirk very well, with the following that he had, and he is very charismatic, he is very intelligent. Charlie Kirk, in the next 3 or 4 years, if he did turn, very well could have been the president of the United States in a Christian nationalist country to overthrow the Jews. That is what he very well could have turned into if he legit did switch sides. There was in a way, in my opinion, there was no one more dangerous than Charlie Kirk. If he did do the full switch and became woke to what happened in World War II and World War I, and actually he could have, do you know what I mean? So, and we don't know the conversations that Charlie Kirk was having on his phone, okay? And you know what? Like, there's also a chance that Israel didn't have anything to do with his death. Now, I don't think that, okay? Some of my friends do think. They think that it was just a deranged left-wing nut job, which I don't think so. I think, I have a feeling Charlie Kirk was legit, and I would be very interested to know the conversations he was having in private with his friends. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. It's all speculation at this point. But I'm just saying that he was in bed with the biggest traitors. He was made rich with them, and it's like now he's he's biting the hand that feeds him, is what I'm saying. And I'm not... Oy vey, I don't know. It's, I don't know, kind of is what it is. All right, so let's just kind of look at probably the same stuff you guys have been watching all week, so I'm just going to be a parrot. Let's just regurgitate it all.
You and I are both supporters of Israel and have defended Israel since the beginning of this conflict and spoken out about the anti-Semitism that has erupted on these college campuses many, 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 many times. And something's happening, though, with this whole debate that is really bothering me, and I wonder if you're feeling it too. So, I mean, I genuinely believe you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody in the public eye who's been as outspoken a defender of not every move Israel's taken in the war, but of Israel's right to defend itself and of the just backward awfulness that we've been seeing on college campuses and the backlash against American Jews than yours truly. I mean, I have been at the pointy end of the spear on this, and I
completely agree with that.
And it was all heartfelt, and it remains heartfelt.
Yes.
However, My contention here is that some in the pro-Israel camp are so knee-jerk about calling you anti-Semitic or getting deeply offended if you say anything that doesn't align with their narrative, that it undermines their own cause. And I have to tell you, I find it very irritating because I do feel like some of us have earned the right to have some credibility on the subject of Israel and don't want to be called those names when we have some mild pushback on some of the overreaches, whether it's...
Notice that. She's telling you exactly what I just said. They earn the right to have some criticism. Why? Because they are frontline soldiers in the propaganda war. Okay? They are frontline soldiers. And they are the ones getting shot at. They know what's coming at them. The guys in the background aren't on the front lines. They're reading everything from a manual. They're checking the algorithms and stuff like this. But they're not the frontline soldiers. And they're just saying we should have the right. Because they know how... Right? Eventually, you kind of have to let your soldiers who are there in the stuff, who know what's going on, make the shot. Call it. What do we do? Okay, they're the ones in the shit, and the officers in the back giving them orders that might get them all killed. Do you know what I mean? You have to listen to what your soldiers on the front line. You have to let them relay what's really going on, and to some extent, okay, you can give them orders and stuff, but you need to be listening to what they're saying. And that's what I think is going on here. I think what's going on here is these people can't do their jobs properly right now because they have zero freedom to question Israel. Okay? And as a result, all their hard work is going down the garbage, right? They're risking their reputations, everything they've built their show on. Okay? If they don't start criticizing that, we still defend Israel. We still want to defend you, but the best way they can defend Israel is by criticizing them at least a little bit to show some credibility, if that makes sense.
It's, whether they're winning or losing the propaganda war right now, and my contention is they've begun to lose it. And I realize it's propaganda coming at us from Hamas, but their numbers have turned. Here in America, they've turned, not so much with Republicans, a little bit with Republicans, but completely with the Democrat Party and with independents. They have shifted mightily from at least double digits highs to single digit lows now with when it comes to approval. And also with respect to, you and I speculated about this at the Turning Point event, whether the possibility of Jeffrey Epstein possibly being a Mossad agent or asset or affiliated with, that's been turned around on me too, to you must be anti-Semitic. What the hell? That's such bullshit. The same people who say you can criticize Israel, that's fine, we won't call you anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel, now turn around immediately and say you're anti-Semitic for even raising that. I completely reject that. And I raise this as a pushback against my friends on that particular strain of the aisle to watch it, because you don't want to alienate people who are openly your friends by going nuts in your crackdowns on mild pushback on anything related to Israel. Now you take it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that, Megan. I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy.
Okay, and this is another thing too. It's like, so again, the Christianity that I teach, I'm a Christian monotheist. So I am in total opposition to the mainstream. Here we teach that the second coming of Christ could have only happened in the first century. It's recorded to have happened in the first century. Tacitus, Roman historians, Josephus, they all record the second coming of Christ. The gospel itself, Christ himself, the book of Revelation itself, there's no end of the world. There's all this stuff going on in the Middle East is absolute nonsense. Okay? And so what's happening is because of Christians like Charlie Kirk, they're moving, mainstream Christianity are pushing everyone to this end of days. We got to, a battle of Armageddon. It's the end of the world. We got to support the Jews. The Antichrist is coming. All this nonsense. Okay, so here we don't believe we're preterists, and guys like views like Charlie Kirk, like his views on the way he teaches Christianity, is what my opponents, the guys that I'm fighting, that's what they're attacking. What's interesting is my opponents and me, we're actually fighting the same thing. We're fighting mainstream Christianity. I'm at war with mainstream Christianity, which is what Charlie Kirk is pushing, and it's where the Jews get their power. Okay, it is why people have the right, and they're not wrong when they say Christianity is a Jewish psyop. Because mainstream Christianity is. It doesn't mean the Bible is and Jesus is. It means how it's been interpreted, how it's been translated, how it's being taught in the mainstream is a Jewish psyop. Okay? And if we go back and check the Bible's not wrong. The people teaching it are, if that makes sense. Okay? And that's my problem with Charlie Kirk, is the things that I'm at war with are because of guys like him. Okay? And then I get censored and I get banned. And he's still pro-Israel. He's still pro-Jew. He just can't do his job anymore because the mob is turning on them, right? Does that make sense to you guys? All right, let's keep going.
And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them to win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie, you were with us. You don't have to agree all the time. However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning
ridiculous.
Biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair.
You,
they were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the fifth time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper-paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan.
Right, and that's just it. Believe me. The Jews right now, okay, the politicians with them, guys like Charlie Kirk, they're all in right now. There is no losing for them. If they lose, they reap what they sow. As they are killing innocent children, as they're bombing children, as they're enslaving people, there's slavery going on, killing, raping, all that stuff they're doing to other people and profiting off of it. That's what's in store for them if they lose. Do you understand? And Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly and all these people, Michael Knowles, all these people who are in bed with our enemies, they're the controlled opposition. If they're the frontline soldiers, right? And they're like the Praetorian Guards. the guys who would defend Caesar, okay? And what happened with Nero is Nero was so evil and so corrupt and so degenerate that his bodyguards eventually said to him that we can't protect you anymore. We can't save you from the people. You need to run away. And he did, and Nero ran away, and then Nero committed suicide. That was it. Because they couldn't fight the mob anymore. And that's what's happening with, I mean, for me, it's clear as day that's exactly what they said in this interview. They're like, my moral, my character is under attack. Yeah, everything Charlie Kirk has built is under attack right now, because if you do not call out the Jew, your reputation is gone. You are a 100% shilling for the evilest people in history. Okay? So, and that's my question. Is Charlie Kirk concerned about us? About the dead children in Gaza? The dead children in Iraq, Afghanistan, and all that stuff? Man, I'll never forget, when the Afghanistan war came out, when it started, a couple years later. So I was 16 when the Afghanistan war started. I was a sergeant in the Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps, and I could not wait to go to Afghanistan. Now, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, Army cadets in Canada was actually pretty good. We were all trained on assault rifles. I had parachute wings at the age of 17. I got to train with some of the world's best paratroopers at 18 years old, And so it was really amazing experience, and I just couldn't wait to go to war. And then between the ages of 9, so let's say about 2004, 2005, that's when I made the connection that 9/11 was an inside job. Okay? And all my friends went to war. And so, when my best friend got back from the war, all my friends, all my teenage friends are all Afghan veterans, okay? And, my best friend was in an explosion, okay? And the biggest explosion during the war. The second, I think it was the second or the first. It might be the second biggest attack on Canadians. The most Canadians were wounded and killed. Okay, highest casualty attack or day. It might have been the second one. Maybe not the first one. I think it was the second one. Anyways, my best friend was a military police officer, and he was tasked with all kinds of crazy stuff. And they were on a patrol somewhere, and an IED went off and blew up 2 of his friends. Okay, and what happened was, the only reason my best friend survived was because the Afghan interpreter, right before the bomb went off, my friend turned around and went to relay one more message to his friends. And then what happened was the IED went off, and my friend was blown 10 meters, 30 feet through the air. And so he lost hearing in one ear. He didn't know what happened to him. And when he came to, the reason he survived was because the Afghan interpreter, his body had formed like a cocoon over my friend's body. So my friend had to peel off another man's body from him. And that's the only reason he survived. And then when he came to, there was this woman, this female medic, and somehow this woman had all the bravery in the world, all the courage in the world, and immediately started just picking up all the body parts and reassembling the men for extraction, right? And my friend snapped out of it and started helping her. And then my other friend was part of the infantry rescue party that came to get my friend out of there. And then my friend was airlifted from Kandahar to a German hospital. And so when my friend got back, and I talked about this in one of my other videos, when my friend got back, and we hadn't talked in a couple of years and stuff, but we were like brothers growing up. Like we were like, while he was being airlifted, even though we hadn't spoken, me and his father called me, okay, because I was like a son to him, and I hadn't spoken to my best friend in years. We had a fallout, years and years before. And so he's being airlifted. I get a phone call. And while he's in the air, while he's going to Germany, this hasn't even been on the news yet, right? It hasn't even made the news. And I know that there's been this attack and all this stuff. And he's on his way to Germany. And then when he gets back to Canada a couple months later, we go out to a bar. And he was in rough shape, real rough shape. And all he talked about to me was wasn't the bombing, wasn't peeling off the body, and I didn't bring anything up, but I was his instructor back in the day. Okay, so he was a year and a half, 2 years younger than me, about a year and a half younger than me, and but we did jump courses together, we parachuted together, and I lived with him when I was a teenager, and so he just opened right up to me. I didn't want to bring anything up, but we were really close and stuff. And so he just laid it all out. And it was when he started telling me about the drug dealing, NATO-sponsored drug dealing. NATO was allowing the allies and all this stuff with the drug dealing, but it was the raped children that got him. It was when he was ordered to stand down and let children get raped, in Afghanistan and stuff like this. When I think about these wars, all funded by we know who, and who was responsible for 9/11, do you know? I don't know. I don't know. Do you guys see where I'm going? Like, Charlie Kirk is late. Do you know? It's like he's jumping on the bandwagon now after he's made millions and millions of dollars. And now that his reputation is under threat because of all this, like, I don't know how anyone could support Israel in the slightest. And I don't know how a Jew can support Israel. I don't know how anybody can. I don't know how... So... I'm not sure how to feel about this guy at all, okay? And in my opinion, they're frontline soldiers for it's like they said, like they just said that it's war, people are paranoid, and 100%. And right after this guy's about to be killed. That's how paranoid his masters are, because these people have no choice at this point but to start ratting out their masters, right? But for me to have woken up, 20 years ago almost, and you're telling me Charlie Kirk is just waking up now? This super smart, high IQ guy has just woken up now? I don't know. Like, for me, the question is he scared because he sees the mob rising? The Overton window is shifting, like Megyn Kelly is, like Candace Owens is, Tucker, they're all seeing this. Remember, it's the elites against the people. There's a reason they're pushing race war. They want you to see this white girl who was knifed by the black guy. Okay, they want you to see that. They are attacking us race, they are attacking us gender, they are attacking us on religion. Anything they can do to divide and conquer us and keep us divided and conquered. They're not showing you the intelligent black man who's a nationalist, who agrees with the white nationalist, who wants segregation. He wants to take his black people and divide them from the white people. This black man who's wise and intelligent, who agrees with they don't want you to see that black man. They want you to focus on the black man knifing the young white girl, the young Ukrainian girl, who I think was pro Black Lives Matter. That's what they want you to see. They want you to hate black people. They want black people to hate white people. They're bringing in all the Muslims while they get us to blow up the Islamic countries. Do you see that this is what they're doing? They're dividing and conquering us. They're causing as much chaos as possible. This is what these Jews are doing. And it's just like, so that's the real question here. Is Charlie Kirk genuine? Because in my opinion, what I think's happening now is these agents, just like how their bosses are all paranoid. They see they're losing the propaganda war. They see they're losing control, power over the mob. And they're frontline soldiers. This is exactly what they just talked about here, Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. And pretty much what they're getting in trouble for is they're asking for a little bit of leeway to keep their reputation and everything they built, because if they don't start calling out the Jew, if they don't start engaging their people properly, they're going to lose all credibility. Everything that they've built is gone, right? They won't even be taken seriously. They'll be useless assets to their masters very soon if they don't start at least 10% criticizing the Jews in Israel. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So I don't know if there's anything more we could talk about here, but I'm tired of like all these people crying over him. Look, the guy got a dream death. The guy lived a great life. The guy got to have children. He's leaving 2 children behind. He was a multimillionaire who got to tour the world, eat the best foods, rub shoulders with the most powerful people, and then he dies a heroic death. And his death is going to echo for all of time. Like, in my opinion, Charlie Kirk is one of the luckiest guys who ever lived. Do you know what I mean? Based upon, and no one is like looking at, I think I'm like one of the only guys looking at him as a traitor. Do you know, everyone else is just crying over him, believing the FBI's narrative. Oh, we got the guy. And it's like everyone is just, it's like, I don't know how you can trust anything that comes out of these people's mouths. Anyways. So.
Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it's offensive. It's offensive to those of us who have been out there defending them in many instances against critics on our own side. And now you have a couple of comments like, well, what about this? Well, has it gone on too long? Like, is it time to wrap it up? And the thing about Epstein is just so bizarre. I don't know who he was an agent for. It might have been Israel or an asset, or it might have been nobody. Yeah. But we're allowed to speculate about that. It's there's some rule. You can't go there when it comes to Israel.
Well, you and I believe that we're Americans and Americans first, period. End of story. We are citizens of this nation, okay?
That's right.
Israel, we have funded, we have supported, and they're up against a sea of Islamic totalitarianism, and we should be cheering for them, right? Because they're up against barbarians and
Islam. The Jews in Israel are against a siege of Islamic terrorists. Who do you think trained, financed, bred this Islamic army that wants our heads and wants our blood and wants to destroy the Western world? You know, Israel, right after Charlie Kirk was killed, or while he was being killed, Israel was what? Bombing Qatar. Killing, and not just bombing Qatar, Hamas leaders who were specifically put there to be peace negotiators between Israel and the United States and the Arab nations. They were lured into a building by Israel and America, and then they were bombed and killed. And Benjamin Netanyahu's like, mission accomplished. Do you think we're going to be able to negotiate with these Arabs anymore? The same thing happened in Iran, apparently. Those bombings that they did where America, which Charlie Kirk was apparently against, I don't know if that's true. Apparently he was against the bombings in Iran. Those bombings, we lured. It's not like, oh, we got these guys, we got these people, like we're so good. We lured them with false pretenses. We said, hey, we're here to talk. Let's negotiate. You know, it's like, do you know, it happened in ancient history with Xenophon, the March of the 10,000, where there were like 10,000 Greek soldiers behind Persian enemy lines, and they just won a battle, in a sense lost the war, because their prince died in battle, and the Persians said, hey, bring your leaders in, you know, come to a tent, we're going to have a banquet, and we can negotiate peace terms and how you guys can leave our empire in peace. So all the Greek leaders, all the Spartan, Athenian, and all these people go into the Persian tents to go have dinner. They bring all their friends, let's go, and the Persians just butchered them all like animals in the tent. They lured them in, but now what happens is there's no more negotiating with the remaining Greek soldiers. It's now war. We've lost that. How can they ever trust us again? And let me tell you something. You might hear in the news, we killed 200. We're doing good. We killed 200 insurgents. We killed 200 terrorists. We killed 200. We killed these 5. Hamas. Negotiators. But what they don't tell you is, you just created 1,000 more. They're going to tell you, we got this many, we took out this many people, we killed, look at how good we're doing in this battle. And yeah, you might have killed 10, you might have killed 100 or 1,000. But for every one you killed, I want you to think about it right now. I want you to put yourself in the situation. Imagine the roles were reversed. That we're under Islamic rule. The Islamic Arab countries have now come to our lands. And they're bombing our children. They're they're maybe raping our women. They're killing our children. Our children, you're holding. If you have a child, imagine your child was just blown up by bombs from some foreign country. You're holding your dead child. Johnny, you grew up with, just died in battle. Like, what do you think? Imagine you're like neutral. You're like, I don't want to get involved with the war. I'm just going to do my own thing. But now all of a sudden, your friends are dying. Your town just got bombed. You might now be radicalized. All these people who wanted to just stay neutral, with every more you kill, you've just turned all, you know what I mean? You might get a report that says we took out 100. But the report's not going to tell you that because you killed these 100 people, you just created 10,000 enemies. You just created 1,000 more. The reports don't say that, right? So keep in mind that when you hear you killed, we got these people, the reports don't tell you how many more joined the fight because we killed those people. All right? So, yeah, so when you watch this, that's all I'm getting from this. I'm getting frontline Zionist puppets that are now like, we're losing the war on propaganda, we're losing the people. If we're not allowed to criticize our masters, but we have to be allowed to, and that's all that I think's happening now. Charlie Kirk has realized I guess he's kind of gone off script, right? So let's play another clip. I think we're gonna end this one. Let's just play one more about the.
So these guys are coming up. So what are we going to have, another 9/11? And they're going to come and do what? They're going to go into your community. What are they going to target next? Where are they going to go next? What's going to happen next? Oh, can we? It's not a big deal. It's never happen again. Well, that's what we thought it was never going to happen. 9/11. Before 9/11 happened, nobody thought 9/11 was going to happen. Yep. So I just have way too many questions that makes me think about what the motives are. And if we go dark, I'll put all those things out there.
Yeah.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically...
Now, understand, this is what makes Charlie Kirk extremely dangerous. Because on one hand, too, he's defending the Jews. It sounds like he's criticizing them. Hang on. And I mean this in a positive way. I'm not attacking the guy. I think it's very admirable what he's doing right now. And this takes a lot of courage. He's pointing out no different than what we were doing years and years and years ago about 9/11. Like, nothing about 9/11 makes sense. The finding of the passport, how did those aluminum tin can airplanes, if there even were airplanes, penetrate that? They found the bag at the airport, the one bag that didn't get put on the airplane that had all the names of all the terrorists, the plans and everything. Like, the odds that 9/11 happened is impossible. It's like 0.00001% chance that all these things could line up. And he's doing the same with the Israeli 9/11, it's not possible. And like, he's pointing out, like, hang on, let him keep going maybe.
Basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools, and by reports, 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long wait for help.
That's important to point out, that like, Israelis aren't happy with the decision. Guys, just like we don't like our governments and we don't want to be defined by our governments, you can't say like all Jews, right? All Israelis even. Like, the Israelis, in a sense, wanted to topple their own government and remove Benjamin Netanyahu, right? And how does Benjamin Netanyahu respond? All of a sudden, there's this attack, right? This attack on Israel, on the Jews, and everyone in that country is a trained soldier, right? Even if the Arabs went and attacked the Palestinians attacked this concert, there should have been an enormous amount of soldiers there. They are all soldiers, right? Especially their youth, right? So, and for them to not respond after 6 hours, when as Charlie Kirk said, it took me 45 minutes in a helicopter to get there. Why wasn't the entire army, military, not instantly, deployed? It doesn't make sense. It's just like 9/11, right? And I admire Charlie Kirk for pointing that out. But it's like, it's kind of like, duh, he's not talking about things that the algorithm and that we haven't already been talking about since the start of all this, right? But I admire him for being who he is and actually being willing to say that. And I think this is why I imagine in their states of paranoia, they were sending a message. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was legit a left-wing nut job, some transgender. I don't buy it. I'm not going to believe the official report. And the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu, within 9 minutes of Charlie Kirk being shot, is already messaging and pointing out, well, Charlie Kirk was supposed to be here. He was invited to Israel and he didn't come. Now I guess it'll never happen. Like, what's he trying to say with that? Because apparently, from what people are saying, is Charlie Kirk declined money from Benjamin Netanyahu to just shut up, right? And I don't know if that's true or not. All the evidence, what I do know is like the fact Benjamin Netanyahu had to get on the television, get on the internet and tell everybody, it's preposterous that Israel would have anything to do with Charlie Kirk's death. You know, it's nothing that we would do. It's crazy. You think Israel controls the moon and the sun or something like this, right? Oy vey. The fact that Benjamin, he is such a liar, a chronic, disgusting creature that it's like, and the fact that this tweet came out so fast, you know, all this stuff, and then Ben Shapiro, like, we're going to keep, you know, telling the truth, and you're not going to stop us from telling the truth. It's like, did you listen to the last, like, 6 months of Charlie Kirk? You think Ben Shapiro is going to start repeating all the stuff that Charlie Kirk has been repeating for the last 6 months that probably got him killed? It's like a high chance that he was killed to send a message to all their other frontline soldiers, all their frontline operatives who've been there to distract us, right? Promoting mainstream Christianity. Oy vey, the Jews are God's chosen people. The end of days is around the corner. The Messiah's going to come back. Like, guys, this is nonsense. It's nonsense. For me, it's not Christianity. Okay, so, the Israelis are ready to topple their government, remove Netanyahu from power. And that tells you something about Jews and Israelis. They aren't happy. No different than we're not happy, okay? But they are extremely brainwashed. And I'm not in any way... look, I've already shed my tears for my Jewish friends. I've tried to help them. I've tried to talk to them. They responded by removing me from their lives. So it's for me, it's like it's on them. And Jews who aren't willing to talk to tell the truth, and I get it's hard to do, but what does that say? How does it go in Isaiah, the book of Ezekiel, where it says God has set us as watchers upon the wall, and our job is to watch and to warn the people when we see something. And what God says to Ezekiel is, if you see something, your job is to blow the horn and warn the people. And if you blow the horn and the people do nothing, their blood is on their own heads. It's their fault. Okay, but if you see something and don't blow the horn, and then the people are attacked and destroyed because you, the watcher, didn't blow the horn, then their blood is upon you. And for me, that's how I feel. I feel I'm the watcher. My job is to blow the horn and warn the people. And that should be your job too. And anyone who decides to be an ostrich and just stick their head in the sand and they're like, oh, we don't care. I'm just going to go about my life. Well, I don't know. I think innocent people's blood is going to be upon you, right? And you're going to reap what you sow. So, anyways, so let me see here. Let's just kind of... Oy vey, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. Charlie and the juice. So I hope I'm not coming across as too big of a prick. On one hand, I have a lot of respect for him. I mean, pending. It does take an enormous amount of courage for someone. It's kind of like the Apostle Paul, in the sense that Paul was a Pharisee. He was an Orthodox Jew, like trained in Judaism. And then understand that these become our strongest warriors. Our strongest warriors are guys on the inside that turn on the establishment. And I do believe that there's possibly a serious redemption story for Charlie Kirk. while he's a guy that I really considered my enemy, right? And in the end, the Bible says no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. And that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. He was serving God and mammon, in the sense that he is being paid millions of dollars. He's at the Wailing Wall with the pancake on his head, defending and promoting the evilest people in world history, calling himself a Christian. Okay? And only when the pressure got so bad and the guilt of these Jews and Israel was so bad that you cannot contain it anymore. It's no different than Caesar Nero. His degeneracy and evil got so bad, his guards are like, we can't do anything. You're done. And that's my opinion. That's what I think's happening, and I think it's clear as day. All right. So what's happening is this: the people are waking up. What's going on? What are they saying? And you got all these people here that were warning, all these content creators that were warning, Israel, 9/11, Holocaust. It's the Jews. All this stuff. All these warnings going out, and then what happens? Silenced. All the real deals, all the people, and then it gets even worse, because then it gets all turned into a business. Like, right when people were starting to wake up about the Jews, Uncle A, World War II, Hitler, the Holocaust, all these things, the banking system is the big one. We were all waking up, it was exploding, and then boom, transgender this, transgender that. Gays, homosexuals, and it's just like, and then Jordan Peterson comes along and I don't think men should be changing in women's bathrooms, and then they shouldn't be competing in women's sports. Well, fucking duh. How did this happen? How did I remember in my nationals group, all of a sudden everyone's like praising, Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, and I'm like looking at these guys like, guys, I don't want to be talking. We shouldn't even be entertaining, wasting our time talking about transgender people. Jordan Peterson is all of a sudden this hit star. His Patreon alone was like $50,000, $75,000 people were paying him a month in Patreon. Not book sales, not ad revenue, and all this. I don't even know how much money Jordan Peterson made talking about why men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. And how did we fall that? How did that happen? How are we even talking about this? What happened to talking about the financial institutions, the banking system, how we need monetary reform, who controls the banks? It's all got pushed. All the things that mattered got pushed aside, and all of a sudden we're talking about trannies, men in dresses, men. How did this become a thing? It was like the ultimate distraction, all these people, and all that's happened, and now it's like, oh, Tucker Carlson is based. He's talking about this, and they're talking about that, and Charlie Kirk, and he's calling out the Jews. How late are you? You mean you're calling them out now? Now that we've been talking about this stuff for over 10 years. Some people have been talking about it since the 80s. Hitler was talking about it in the 1920s, 100 years ago. Go read Mein Kampf. Okay? We're late on the scene, guys. Oy vey. So, I don't even know if we're going to talk about this right now, but like Charlie Kirk talking about the prophecies, the blessings, and all this stuff, the Jews, God's chosen people and stuff. All I wanted to really talk about really quickly is when you go through the Bible, what the Bible actually says, you've got Abraham, the guy given the blessing. He's not a Jew. He's the grandfather of the Jews. So Abraham was promised to become many nations. Abraham's children were promised the land. But what do you notice? Abraham is also the father of who? The Arabs. Right? Why do the Jews think that them being there fulfills the Abrahamic promise that his children will always be there? The thing is, when you read the Bible in Genesis, it's interesting. Abraham is given an everlasting blessing that forever, for all of time, his children will dwell in that land. Forever. When it comes down to Isaac, Isaac is kind of told the same thing, except it's not everlasting. And then Jacob, who is Israel, is also told he will get the land, but he's also told he's going to scatter in all directions and become many nations. Okay? And then, wouldn't you know it, here's Judah, the father of the Jews, and he's not given this blessing. See, Abraham is told everlasting, your children will dwell in that land, and the Palestinians are also the children of Abraham. So it doesn't matter if the Jews are there or the Palestinians are there. Both are promised this land forever. Okay? The promise still stands, doesn't matter. But Ishmael's not given the covenant, the Abrahamic blessing doesn't pass to him, and to become many nations and people. Okay, Isaac is given this, Jacob is given this, and then Joseph is given this, and they are Ephraim and Manasseh, and they're Egyptians. Here are the Jews, guys. Here are the Jews. Did the Jews get the promise, the blessing? Did Esau? These people didn't get it. It went in this direction. And then the chosen tribes, the chosen people, were actually half-breed Israelite Egyptians, not Jews. Here's the Jews, the father of the Jews, Judah. Go read Genesis, and you'll see how the blessings work. My videos are all about this. Okay, so Charlie Kirk pushing, it's prophecy, it's the Jews are promised this land. No, go check the Bible. Check the Bible yourselves. Okay. And anyways, this is just to show you, Israel and Judah were two different countries, two different people. Why did the Jews return to this land and call themselves Israel when they are Judah, the Jews, and their country was called Judah, Judea, not Israel? They were at war with Israel, Joseph, the half-breed Egyptians, who were promised to become many nations and scatter around the world to fulfill the promise given to Abraham. Okay? Oy vey. And there you go. The Israelites scatter around the world, but Judah stays. And the Jews never became many nations. Think about that. The core, the main promise, not only is Abraham promised that his children will always live in that land, and the Arabs are his children, which fulfilled that promise, but they're also told, the Israelites are told, they will scatter in all directions through Joseph and become many nations and people. Did the Jews scatter around the world and become many nations and people? No, they scattered around the world and stayed Jews. They didn't become many nations and people, which is like Abraham blessing 101. The Jews don't fulfill the most basic part of the Abrahamic blessing. Does that make sense? See, they're not Israel, okay? And they don't fulfill the blessing. They don't, and it doesn't matter if you believe in the Bible or not. The point is, this is what the Bible says. If you're an atheist, you can use this argument. If you're a pagan, you can use this argument. Okay? And this is why my problem I was having with Charlie Kirk. All right? So I'm just going to end it there, actually. And I just wanted to thank everybody that helped with the donations in the last month. Really, it saved me. And I think in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to announce the winner for the National Socialist necklace coin. It should be done in the next, we've got 2 more weeks left. And so I think that's it. I think we're going to end it there. So Charlie and the Juice, guys, look, you guys can hammer on me, yell at me, tell me I'm an inconsiderate prick if you want. But look, I don't know what was in Charlie Kirk's heart in the end. All I can tell you is the guy was serving our enemies for a long time. Became very rich for it. And it was only when the heat was turned on that the guy switched over. Okay? And look, it's a terrible thing in a sense. As a Christian, as a fighter for God, you couldn't ask to go. As a soldier, what better way to go than that? Do you know? And when you think about like how lucky, like at least he got to leave children behind. At least he got to marry the love of his life. At least he got to tour the world. And, you know, you're choosing. He had a high quality life. He may not have had high quantity. He didn't live the fullest life. But for what he did live was amazing. And I really hope it's a redemptive story. I really hope that the guy decided to make a stand and full out turn on his enemies or turn on his masters and start fighting for us and the people, and that and that is what got him killed. I really do hope that that's the case, and that he truly did die a martyr's death, and that it wasn't for self-preservation or something selfish like this, that he's seeing that the power is shifting, and that you're not going to want to go down in this ship with these people, right? I don't know what was in Charlie Kirk's heart. We can hope for that, and I do hope for that, but it's something that maybe will come out in time, or maybe it's something that will be revealed when we're dead and gone. Okay, so I'm not trying to, make you hate the guy or anything like that. This is just how I see it. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't think I am. Those are just my thoughts. Okay, so anyways, guys, I think I'm going to end it there. It's over an hour already. I wanted to do this in like 30 minutes or something. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to try to upload more videos shortly. And yeah, so let me know in the comment section if I'm completely off, if I'm completely crazy, and maybe I'm completely wrong and you guys are seeing something that I'm not seeing. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So God bless you all, and I hope you guys are well.